My name is Zakia Carr Johnson. I'm founder of Black Women Disrupt.
And I'm Dylan Valley, and I'm a filmmaker from South Africa and an educator as well.
Fantastic. We're on the call. A few of our other colleagues are also on the call joining us. We have Lakeisha Ridley and Antoinette Engel. And those of you who are on the call with us joining us from around the world. If you can in the chat, please feel free to drop where you're from or how where you're joining us from, as we'd love to know. And we just want to welcome everyone into the room. So I know there are a few more people coming into the room, and we're going to get started very shortly. I want to remind everyone that we're having this information session to help everyone in the process be able to navigate the application process, get to know who we are and why we got started in this process, why this is so important to us, and to build some community around this this competition. Want to remind you too that the deadline is the 1st of March to get your application in, but we're going to show you how incredibly easy it is. So we're going to relax on that. And we're going to walk you through what the application process looks like and give you some tips on what we'll be looking for as we start the selection process. I wanted to also remind everyone that this is our English information session. We will be conducting a similar information session in Spanish on Friday from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll also be conducting another session in Portuguese on Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10:30 Eastern Standard Time on Saturday morning. That's 11 to 12:30 Brasilia. So let's get started. I think it'd be good for people to know a little bit about how we got started. Dylan, you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so hi everybody, and thanks for joining this info session for Black Women Disrupt the Web. And thanks, Akia, for that very calm opening. I feel so calm now. Very calming. So a little bit about how we got started. So Zakia and I met during this fellowship called Atlantic Fellows for Racial Equity, which we were fellows in from 2019 to 2020. And it's run by an organization called Atlantic Philanthropies, and it's really a transnational conversation about race. And which brought together fellows from South Africa and from the US, come together to unpack racism and develop strategies to dismantle anti-Black racism in the world, and just to really network and be in fellowship together. And so we really connected on one of our trips was to the Othering and Belonging Institute at UC Berkeley in California. And over lunch, we started talking, and Zakia and I were sharing about the work we did, and I was talking about this documentary I made on Issa Rae and a web series called The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, which basically led to the work that I'm doing now at Wits University, which is I'm researching web series on the African continent, but specifically by Black women. And Zakia had also a connection to Issa Rae's work through someone that she knows, and has also been doing work around Black women entrepreneurship. So we're talking the same language. And so it was just great to connect and throw some ideas around. And that's how this project came about, was really over lunch at UC Berkeley. So here we are, like about a year and a half later, and we've been working on this project, and Atlantic has supported us. Atlantic Philanthropies has supported us to do this project. And that's essentially how it all got started. We were really thinking about web series as a way to uplift Black women's voices. And it's not only our theory about web series. This is just kind of what we've observed, how
Yeah.
this happened throughout the world because of the high barriers to entry in film and television. It means that for a long time, Black women were marginalized in film and television, and still are to an extent. So this is the reason why web series have provided such a great intervention in that whole space, because it really disrupts the power dynamic in film and
Yeah.
television. So yeah, so Zakiya, I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, I mean, you covered quite a bit. Absolutely. I think this has been a labor of love. Dylan and I didn't know one another before, but I can say we're sister and brother now in that every single week we've logged in to plan this process for you. This has been something that's been brewing, of course, in our consciousness around how we can turn the power structure on its head, how we can imagine Black futures through the eyes of Black women. What do Black women have to say around the diaspora? And we were very intentional about making sure that we use the language we are using, that we also invite sisters from the global South. And I don't know a better way to frame that. We understand that when we imagine Black women filmmakers, especially those who are known worldwide, we can begin to count on our fingers how many we know by first name, right? And when we do that, we're calling on an Ava, we're calling on an Isa, we know Alina. And then, maybe if we're dipping into television, we say maybe Shonda, or, we have names. Then it's Michaela. And we've started realizing that in those names that we circulate so, that roll off of our tongue so easily, most of them are concentrated in Europe and the US. And so how do we also turn that narrative around and say, but what are the voices? What are the messages? What are the perspectives we should be understanding coming from the viewpoint, the world vision of Black women in other countries, in countries that are not centered often in the Hollywood industry or in the mechanism that exists, the current mechanism that exists. And so we were very intentional in saying, let us reach out into the Americas, to countries that are not the US. Let us reach out on the continent to countries that may not already have a specific type of industry set up to kind of flow directly into Hollywood. And let's see and map who's out there. Let's gather a community of people who can support this process, and let's create an environment which is going to help strengthen and raise the visibility of these sister disruptors. So we hope that some of you on this call today will be those sister disruptors, will apply, will join us in this process, will support this process, because we know that it's going to take a community to make this possible. So we're super excited, but also nervous. This is this is our first try at this, and this is a pilot. So we are testing this model and improving it along the way. And we appreciate you for joining us in this room to get some firsthand information from us both. Dylan, I know you talked about web series as a point of intervention, like, a way to break in, to show proof of concept, that kind of thing. But are there some examples of web series that you think have, like, besides Issa, that have kind of broken through and been able to then make some waves in mainstream television?
Yeah, so also we should think about, like, what do we mean by web series? Some people get caught up with the terminology a bit, and so because so much of television is now on the internet, so we need to kind of say what we mean by web web series, which is not, it's not necessarily the stuff you see on Netflix or Showmax in South Africa, in our context, or you know, these other streaming services where I know Kenya has View, Sasa. So we basically are talking about independent productions that are made, usually distributed for free on platforms like YouTube, but they're made, web series are usually made outside of the realm of traditional commissioning processes, whereas you get a network who puts out a call for proposals and people write in, and then, or there's a pilot season, pilots get made and pitched, and then your show gets picked up by a big network and you get lots of money to make it. So what web series do is they totally, it's a totally different way of working in that it's an independent production, usually self-financed or made through a grant or through crowdfunding. And it's really a grassroots kind of project made with usually very little resources. Not always the case, but that's usually the way it's made. And so that's what we're really talking about when we're talking about a web series. It's an independent television production made for the web specifically, that doesn't have big kind of network interests or funding or commercial interests in that way. And examples of that would be, in South Africa, we have the Foxy 5, which was made by Jabu, Nadia, and Newman, which it didn't transition into mainstream television, but it also wasn't really the aim of that show. It was kind of this show that came out of Fees Must Fall, the student movement, and very political in that way. And in Kenya, you had a web series called Tuko Macho, which was also very political and made by the Nest Collective. And in Ghana, you had a web series called An African City, which is kind of a riff on Sex and the City. But imagine it if it was taking place in Accra instead of like in New York, right? And with an all-black woman cast. So these are some of the kind of web series we've seen, like, on the African continent. But there's so many that have been made. There's literally hundreds of web series. Actually, there's only hundreds that I know of, but there's probably like, you know, thousands and thousands out there that speak to these kinds of themes as well. So that's what we mean when we're talking about web series. And often these web series then go on to become something else, like and become part of the mainstream in some way, or they just get picked up by streaming sites like or channels. Like An African City was actually picked up by the Africa Channel, and who are based in the US, and so they got a distribution deal through that. I really recommend also checking out Open TV, this platform who only focus on web series and specifically intersectional web series. And so we're now in partnership with them as well, specifically Amar Jean Christian, who wrote the book on web series, literally wrote the book on it. So called Open TV. So so that's what we mean by web series. And the great thing about it is that web series, you know, they have their own kind of unpredictability to them. They could end up being on TV, they could end up not. Not everyone wants to be on TV because of the way that TV works and the kind of constraints of television. And so it's really kind of an open form, and it's really more creative and kind of grassroots and all that kind of thing. So so that's what we're looking for.
Totally. And the last point I'd love that you often make, Dylan, is about democratizing the media landscape and like what the web series can do, or what a web series can do in terms of changing power dynamics. Should we get really, really nerdy and delve into that a little bit more, or no? You let me know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of the people who started making web series have gone on to work to create work that totally shifted the narrative. The most obvious that we can talk about is Issa Rae's work, you know, because she created The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, which was really about representing Black women in a different way, and kind of in the way that she felt was missing in representations on television. And at the time when Awkward Black Girl came out, it was this idea of, in a sense, almost like a nerdiness or an awkwardness, and people will really focus on that. But actually, when you watch Awkward Black Girl and then you see how she went on through the success of Awkward Black Girl to make Insecure on HBO, and the way that she's made all these different films now and all these things, and also shared a platform, what she was really about was not necessarily just Black girl awkwardness, which is a concept that came about. It was also just about the nuance of Black life on screen, which was completely missing on television at the time. Specifically, if we're talking about the US context and US TV, which is, by the way, we all absorb that stuff in the English-speaking world as well. So it's such a big part of our culture too. And so that was really missing from those kinds of, the nuance of Black life, specifically for Black women. And if we really want to get academic, then I'll cite a scholar called Regina Bradley, who actually says that Issa Rae actually showed us through Awkward Black Girl, she highlighted the possibility of Black women as human beings on TV, because
with flaws and all of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I could go on for a long time, but I don't want to deliver a lecture on.
We have less than 30 minutes, my brother. We are on a time schedule.
Yeah, but I'm willing to talk more at any time.
I know. We're going to call you back. Actually, I think there, in addition to this process, which is around this proposal, application for proposals, throughout the rest of the next 5 to 6 months, we're going to also be bringing you all additional content, additional classes, panels about some of these issues. I think on one hand, we believe that, yes, we're focused on the creative, technical aspect of this moment that we're in, this application process. But we're also interested in building capacity. Yes, there will be, Joanna, there will be time for questions in just a sec. Thank you so much. You can even start typing some of your questions into the chat room now if you like, so we can get ourselves prepped. And we're going to also walk through the application so you can see what it looks like. Before we get there, just quickly want to say, we will be providing other moments to have interaction, to get tips. And yes, we're interested in the creative side, which is super important, but also we're interested in in navigating the business, if that is of interest to people who are in this process. And that's everything from, learning how we negotiate, learning what terms are, learning how festivals work. Some people are more advanced than others in the process, but we want to meet people where they are, and across the diaspora where we're focused, help people, learn more about these processes, learn more about how this works. So we will be offering some more sessions, some more panels, some more masterclasses before we finalize the competition and culminate in a showcase. So stay tuned and keep following, because we will be having and making sure that there are opportunities for people at all levels of development in their craft to learn and grow. So this takes us to how to apply. Dylan, are we ready to share the screen? Cool. I'm going to do that. Let's start on the website, like where you will be. So if you're here in the room, you've probably already looked at the website, but we want to take you from the very beginning to the end to show you how quickly this process can happen. First, if you're an English speaker, you click on the English version. We're talking about the competition now. We've discussed some rules here. Should we go over those rules again, Dylan? I think let's go straight to the application. We can always go back to the rules. And if you're filling out an application, this is what your application looks like. There are plenty of details. Remember that we're asking people to submit a proposal to produce a three-part, 3-minute per part. Am I getting this right? A 3 by 3 minute episode of their creative web series. Remember that it is a fiction piece. It's not a documentary. And based on this application, this is where we will start the process of identifying the top 10 proposals and then the top 5 who will receive investment and mentoring, technical support in other ways so that they can complete this 3 by 3 production web series. Of course, you're going to add your email address. And then here are some of the requirements. You cannot have a pre-existing idea that's been submitted, to your class or something for school. But we do encourage students to apply. We don't discriminate. We want to make sure that all Black women who from the 3 countries where we're accepting will make sure that they can apply. Remember that it should not be something you've submitted before to another process. It should be your own intellectual property. And we aren't looking for scripts at this stage. We're looking more for these documents that we're outlining below. First, and our recommendation is that you gather these things up before you get started with the application. It will make it go a lot quicker, a lot smoother. Your 1-minute introduction video, it should be about you. It should include your name, the country you live in, the country of your birth or where you're from, and what it means to be a Black woman content creator and why your proposal should be selected. This is important because, as we mentioned in the very beginning, identity for us is a value. It's part of who we are, but also part of why there's a need for this specific focus. So we want to make sure that people are very committed to the process and have a reason why they think that they should be in this process based on their identity as well. A 1-page script outline, and Dylan and I will talk a little bit more about that in just a second. 1-page creative treatment. And then we're accepting uploading in 3 languages. So if you speak English, please upload it in the language you feel comfortable, Portuguese, Spanish, etc. And then a 250-word bio, not longer than that. And we're not accepting profiles of companies that you might be working for and things like that. This is about you or, you and the team that you're working with. So we also ask if it makes sense and you're working with a team, you have a place to identify the people who are going to collaborate with you to make this happen. But remember that we are accepting the application for the person who's presenting it, and then that person shares with their team as you all see fit the benefits from this particular competition. Reminding you all that the submission deadline is the 1st of March. The last hour for sending in your application entry is 11:59 on that Monday, Central African time. We will get back to the 5 semi-finalists no later than March 5th. March 5th. And then the rest of it's pretty straightforward. It's your name, surname, nationality, contact number, email, the name of your project, and a short synopsis of what you plan to present or propose, the country you'll be working in, the language again. And then here is where you upload the 1-minute introduction video, pretty straightforward. You drag from your computer or you upload it from your phone and press upload. You should be able to make sure that it uploads. Remember that the maximum file size is 10 megabytes. So check your file size before you begin to upload. And we only accept MP4 or MOV files. So be sure to select the type of file and the size of your file, or check that before you upload it. And your video should include the things we talked about before, why you should be in this competition, what your identity is, and why this is important to you, what country you're from, etc. Dylan, you want to talk a little bit about the one-page script outline?
Yeah, so we've asked for a one-page script outline and a one-page creative treatment. So we've kept it quite short, just a page for each, because this is quite a short web series. So it's 3 times 3 episodes, 3 minutes times 3 episodes. And so essentially it's 9 minutes long. The entire project would be 9 minutes long. And also it's important to remember that there's no one correct way to write a creative treatment or script outline. So we'll be sending out guidelines, we're uploading it to the site, and you'll be able to check it there in terms of exactly what we're looking for in terms of how it should be formatted and that kind of thing. And very, very simply, it's just about the treatment is just to kind of get a sense of your story, and your title and your log line. The script outline would be a little bit more breaking down your story per episode. So it's very simple. It's just about kind of expanding on your idea, and just so that we can see kind of what your idea is and how it's going to play out on screen. So that's basically how we're doing it.
Cool. Thank you. And the same here. Remember that you must upload a PDF. The application won't accept other document types, and it's the same process. You upload, drag, or upload from your phone, however you can, and that they must be in PDF format. With your personal profile or biography, you can type it right into the form, or cut and paste from another document you have, but it mustn't be longer than 250 words. So we're looking for short bio, who you are, what you've accomplished, things that we should know about you and what you want the world to know about you at this time. And then creative team. This is where you get to, give credit to the people who will be working with you to make this happen, if this makes sense for you in terms of how you are formulating your story. Everyone's team or configuration will be different, and so we're giving you space to make sure that that's visible. Your personal handle, website, or site should be in this format. If it's Twitter, for example, it should be https://www.twitter.com and then your handle. And if it's your website, it should be just as it's displayed here. So remember to put the HTTPS or HTTP in and the rest of the code, or it will reject your submission here. Just a word of caution. And then any other information you'd like us to know, because maybe there's something that we've overlooked in the way that our application is set up that you think will help your application. Happy to receive that as well. And that's pretty much it. You submit it. And you might be able to finish. If you've gathered everything beforehand, you should be able to finish it in about less than 15 minutes, maybe 30 if uploading takes a little bit longer, but it's pretty straightforward. And we're so excited because this is like the part where we get to know you better and know, how you're thinking about what you want to share with us. I'm going to stop sharing now. I think it's a good time to, we can either take questions or we can talk a little bit about what's in it for the people who enter in the process.
I think we could, why don't we open it up?
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So let's see. Yes, we have time for questions. If you would like to participate in question asking now, we're open.
Hi, my name is Joanna.
Hi,
I'm Brazilian,
Hi.
but I live in the US.
Okay.
So I have two questions. First of all, if I am qualified or not to participate. And the second one, if in the team, I can have a male participant or has to be just women.
Okay.
And the third one, if it can be an animation.
Those are great questions, Joanna. I'm prepared to answer the first two. Hold on.
Didn't catch the last question. What was the last question?
If
She
you can
said
be an
can it-
animation.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'm going to answer the first two. Dylan's going to answer the last one.
Okay.
So the first question you had is, you said you're Brazilian, and you live in the US.
Yes.
Yes. So we're prioritizing people who currently live in the country they're from.
Okay.
But however, and this is one note, we also are on a case-by-case basis evaluating what it means to live in another country. We know that people are often out of, not as a part of their own control in another country for a time. Maybe something's happening in their own country. They have to migrate quickly. They're in another country studying, or their, their status is maybe a refugee in the moment. Whatever the case is, make sure to let us know in the application part where it says, let us know something, so that we can take that into consideration as we're evaluating the project proposal. If you're in the US and let's say you're studying right now, or you're here for a brief amount of time, if your permanent residence is in Brazil, then you are eligible.
Okay. No, yeah, my permanent resident, and actually the person that we partnered, she's from Jamaica, but we both live here. Yeah, so.
Okay, all right. And then the other part is, you asked me if there can be males on the team. Yes, we're not discriminating against teams in any way, shape, or form. A team is a team, but we're prioritizing and raising the visibility of women writer-directors. So your team should be led by a woman, and there should be, she should be the one in this process. And whomever she chooses to partner with to make her vision come true, then we're open to that. And you should list the people in your team if that's important. She should be a Black woman, and she should identify as such. And she should, then she can partner with whomever she likes.
Okay, so yeah, so far it's okay. I'm Black, I'm Brazilian. It's just like I live here. It's just like the whole thing. But I mean, like it's exactly how probably, I don't know. It's strange because we still like feeling in Portuguese. You still having the struggles.
I know.
Yeah, but I understand.
Yes. And if you are a Portuguese speaker, we also have a session in Portuguese. I don't think that you have to be there, but it's great if you want to also show up there on Saturday. Para mim, seria uma pessoa que auto-identifica como afrodescendente, negrex ou preta.
Yeah, negra. Negra.
So as long as that is your identity, and that is the identity that you are putting forward, we're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
No
I'm just like so excited because I usually don't look at I'm gonna just stop talking, but I don't look to Instagram, and this friend, she's so like, she said, Joanna, just look, it's so lovely. I was just like, oh my God, and I love it. So this is why I joined right away. But thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
Oh, and Dylan's going to answer the last part of your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the last part of your question was, can it be an animation, right? And I would say yes. Like I would say, apply. It's like, because that's also the kind of that's the form we're dealing with. It's not a rigid form. Like the internet and television. Like television on the internet is open. It's free, and you're free to experiment and do things where you're thinking outside of the box. So yeah, totally. Like an animation could also be a web series, and there are actually animated web series in existence. So yeah, I'd be happy to check it out. Yeah, sounds good.
I'm super delighted and super excited about that too, because I think that is part of innovation as well. It's like, how do we tell our stories? And I think it's important that we tell our stories however we feel we can tell our story. And the web series gives us a little bit more flexibility with that. I'm excited.
Yeah.
There's some more questions here. Sylvia has asked us, let's see, what did she say?
How's the project being funded?
Yes. So 2 ways, or at this moment, 2 ways. We have partially self-funded. We have also received support from Atlantic Fellows, and we are bringing in new partnerships every day. Different organizations are contributing to this process, some to the prizes, some to other supports for the process, things like translation, interpretation, because in order to make this a fair process for everyone, we have to make sure that everyone is able to speak the language they feel most comfortable with. And so we decided to open this up once we had what we needed to be able to say that we are definitely moving forward. And we're still gathering resources to make sure that we can make this experience as rich as possible for everyone involved. When I say rich, I don't mean a lot of money. I mean deep and rich and loving. But yes, that's
Spiritually rich.
Yes, spiritually rich. Dylan, that's a great concept. But yes, those are the main funders at this point. Sylvia. And then Kaylee says, where do we share links to our previous work? Should we include it under the personal website option? I believe that works in the application. That works fine. You can also put the links in the section, what else should we know about you? That works as well. So I think what should we know about you is a good place to put it, and we can take it from there. Thank you. Let's see. Are there any other guidelines except that it's fiction and 3x3 minute episodes?
No, not really.
Easy answer.
That's it. No,
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
it's like Zakia, like you were saying earlier, it's kind of, as long as it's like a project led by Black women, because it's about highlighting the work of Black women. That's it really. It's like what we really want to do is let you do your thing, right?
Yeah.
And so we are deliberately not giving too many guidelines, so that you can just have room to experiment or get out a story that you really wanted to get out, and this could be just the right time to get it out. There are ways of making it work better, but that's up to you. You really have to kind of try and figure out what would be the best way for you to make this work for yourself, and how to get out. So yeah, we're trying to keep it open in that way. And so yeah.
Dylan, I also like how you framed it in one of our discussions, and I think it's on the guidelines. If you check the official rules page and FAQs, we are not specifying a genre. So if your thing is animation, you should submit it. If your thing is, I don't know, what's another way that someone might present something that's out of the box?
Like
VRE? Horror, it can be a cowboy movie. Oh gosh, please don't submit a cowboy movie.
But if you really want to, you can.
Yeah. And then, so Neilani had a question. She said it might be difficult through text. So Neilani, go ahead, unmute yourself and join us.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Neilani. I'm from South Africa.
Hey.
So, hey, I just have a question. Zakia, you said earlier in the meeting that you are accepting concepts from students. I'm not a student, but I feel like I'm basically at that stage because I graduated 4 years ago, but any of the work, like the work that I have done, it's all under the companies I've worked for. So I would be coming to this with, of course, my concept. I don't have a team. Am I still eligible or?
Yeah. So, and this is not just for students. I want to just underscore again, we just wanted to make the distinction. Some people are like, ooh, I can submit my senior thesis and apply for this thing. We want to make sure that this is not
Yes, of
something
course, of
you've
course.
already submitted and it's your original work. It's an original work of fiction. And at this time, you know, some works of fiction may not require a whole team of people, but you have to think who's going to, you know, who's going to help you with camera work, or who's going to help you tell the story using equipment, etc. So that's also what we mean when we say team, if that makes sense. But it is not mandatory that you have a team at this point. We are really focusing on the concept and the story you want to tell, and the compelling nature of the story you'd like to tell. Yeah, I don't know if that answered everything for you, Nelani, if you have a follow-up.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yes, and you sound like a great person to apply because you're in between two types of things. You're not in school anymore, and maybe you're not where you exactly want to be in the industry yet. So it's a great opportunity. Yes, Sylvia, there's a scheduled power cut, and some of us were affected by that earlier this morning. Let's see. Oh, please don't disappear. If there's anything else, Sylvia, that you want to ask, this is your chance. Last call. Okay. All right. Is there anything else? Any other questions in the chat? Thanks, Sylvia. Cool. Well, Dylan, anything else you want to add before we talk? Maybe we should talk about what's in it for people.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was set, the first phase of this process is this competition piece, correct? As people are submitting their proposals, we'll be reading proposals fervently, and then we'll be making a short list of the top 10 proposals. What we want to be sure of is that everyone who submits a proposal is part of our community of people that we hope to one day work with or collaborate with in some way, shape, or form. We're mapping the talent in our respective regions and countries and prioritizing Black women talent in those areas. So it's very important to us that, you know, even if you don't make the top 10, we will be reaching out to you to include you in sessions, other master classes that we're holding throughout this next couple of months, panel discussions, because we know that, yes, there's the competition, but there's also a need to continue to have a dialogue and raise the importance of this dialogue about power dynamics and about the silencing of Black women's voices and expertise in this field. You know, I don't know if I can see another snubbing in another Golden Globes moment without feeling a pain in my gut that says we could do more and we will do more to make sure that more Black women's voices are heard. Last but not least, we, as this process is going along, the top 5 proposals will then be deemed semi-finalists in the process. As semi-finalists, you receive tailored mentoring. So people who will work with you if you need help, if you've got a call, I'm in a shoot, this is happening, what do I need? A lifeline of sorts, and people who will give you feedback on where you are in your process. So as you're writing your script, someone to bounce ideas off of, someone who cares deeply about you completing this project and wants to see you grow in the process and will give you notes that you can use to improve your project. At the end of this, through the mentoring and technical assistance, you will have a product that you will finish. And that product will be part of a showcase that we're preparing that we want to share with the rest of the world. That showcase means that your name will be, you and your team will be publicized in our processes. People will know that you've completed this particular piece of work, and people will be able to see parts of that work in this showcase and recognition of your accomplishment through this process. So in that culmination, the judges, the final judges, will be kind of deciding among the 5. I know somebody's got to come out top of show. It's a little bit weird, but we will identify the person who through this process has done, maybe had the most growth, shown us a package that is really top notch in the process. And that submission will be granted an additional cash prize. In addition to the cash prize, that finalist will be supported as they navigate festivals over the next couple of months. And we'll support them in other ways, introducing them to potential distributors and getting more insight about how the business works as they are kind of in a new phase. What we hope is that whoever's in this process understands that this process is not just for those who are at the top and winning in this in the competition, but that you'll come back and give back in other ways to people who will be in the next group of folks that we hope to highlight. Your experience and what you went through in the process will be of value to future applicants, sister disruptors in this process. And like we said, we're trying to build a community of people who want to support and see us all grow. So that's kind of what's in it for you all. I don't know if there are other questions related to that. Let's see. Yes, the recording will be available online. Anything else that we've missed? Yes. Oh, please subscribe to the YouTube. Thank you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's at Black Women Disrupt. And also follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. Make sure to follow Dylan Valley as well, Antoinette Engel as well. I know Antoinette's in the room, but quiet. And we really just want to be as supportive as possible in this process to everyone who applies. So follow us for other details, other opportunities. We're very excited. We look very calm, but we're actually like bursting with excitement because it's taken us a year to get to this point, and finally we're here. And you guys are the first time we've ever spoken to people in the public about like what this whole process is going to be.
Yeah.
So I hope you're excited as we are. Sign up for more information. Oh, I forgot to mention, Lakeisha from our team is also on the line, and she's asking us to make sure that we sign up for the newsletter. So on the website, you can get access to new information, find out who our new partners are going to be, and find out who the judges will be, all of those things when you sign up for the newsletter. Tell a friend, don't keep all the information for yourself.
Yeah, to anyone who you think would be interested in this, please let them know as well.
Totally. I think we're done.
Yeah.
No. I'm going to give you guys like 2 more minutes to figure out if you have one last question.
2 minutes is a long time to sit in silence anyway.
10 seconds, 9, 8. Any more questions? If there's anyone who has a question now, this is the perfect time. Thank you, Sylvia. I'm glad you were able to stay on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joanna, for your question. I thought that was very pertinent, really good. Appreciate that. There are a few others in the room. Yeah. Thank you, Nelani. Glad you were able to make it. And anything else you need, feel free to reach out to us via social media. You can also reach out to us on, the website for more information. And we're real people. We're not bots. And this is a real competition, and this is a real process. Thank you so much for showing up today. And check the YouTube page, share the YouTube information session with others who weren't able to make it. And thank you.